got Pittsburgh minus 2.5 at Houston. I thought you did your recap. My bad.
Yeah, exactly. I got Pittsburgh minus 2.5. I pick Pittsburgh every week. Here's the thing. I think they're still undervalued. I think Houston right now, slightly overvalued because of how good they looked against Jacksonville. But Houston in this game could be on a backup offensive lineman and 3 third-string offensive linemen. Their offensive line has been decimated by injury. With that being the case, going up against this Pittsburgh front, I think C.J. Stroud is going to have his first really bad game. And so Pickett has not been favored a lot in his career, but he's 4-1, a straight up and against the spread as a favorite. He's 10-5 in his career against the spread. Now, Tomlin is a far better underdog coach than favorite coach, but it's such a small number, and I think Houston is right now maybe a little overvalued because of the Jags win and those injuries on the O-line. I just like Pittsburgh in this spot. I think Pittsburgh's a good team. You guys know I picked them to win that division. They're still very alive for that. So I like Pittsburgh minus 2.5 in this spot. Go ahead.
Tampa Bay plus 3.5 at New Orleans.
It looked like you wanted to say something about the Pittsburgh game. Did you have any take there?
I didn't want to say anything about the Pittsburgh. You said it still looked good for them to win the division. I don't think it really looks good.
Why?
I mean,
who do you think looks good?
The record might show otherwise, but I think the Ravens.
The Ravens
are the best chance of winning
I forgot.
the division.
Your beloved Ravens.
You might be too low.
Who just lost to a backup quarterback. They lost to a backup quarterback.
Not really.
Couldn't move the ball consistently. All of a sudden, Lamar's just running again. There are a lot of concerns about the Ravens. We'll get to them in a second. Tampa plus 3.5 at New Orleans. This is, the concern here is Tampa going to be able to block New Orleans? That is a legit concern. This New Orleans defense is awesome. However, I'm getting Jameis Winston and Dennis Allen as the quarterback coach combo against what I believe to be a good defense. You have Baker, I think, frustrated after the performance against Philadelphia. And Mike Evans probably frustrated after he did have the one amazing catch, but he had some drops where he left some meat on the bone. And this just feels like, in either direction, a 3-point game. And so if I'm getting the 3.5, I really like it. This feels like a 20-17 game in one direction or the other. All the trends seem to like me on this. Winston is 8-19-1 against the spread in his career. Dennis Allen is one of the worst covering coaches ever, 39% against the spread. And Allen is 5-12-2 against spread in divisional games. And the Bucs, who weren't that good last year, swept New Orleans last year. Go ahead, Damonza. It looks like you want to say something on this.
I think Tampa Bay is going to win that game, by the way. And also, I think if New Orleans ends up winning the game, the Jets are going to be really sick that they didn't call Jameis Winston a couple weeks ago.
Well, that is a great point on the Jameis Winston thing, because now with Carr hurt, Winston's not available. Right. And if they had called him right when Aaron Rodgers got hurt, they probably could have gotten him. I think that is a really good point, and he would have been one of, if not my first phone call. All right, what's the next game?
Cleveland minus 2.5 versus Baltimore.
All right, you hate this pick. I know. You want to go ahead and tell me why you hate it?
I don't hate it. Obviously, if you're going to bet against Baltimore, I don't love it, but that's fair. But I think this will be, like I said a couple days ago, I think this will be a very good test of our strength. We've obviously got a few injuries going on, and Cleveland's got that great defense, so this will be a good template.
Listen, I don't believe in Cleveland's offense at all, but this defense has been unbelievable. They've allowed 21 first downs all year. They've allowed 1 touchdown all year.
No.
You have a banged-up Ravens offensive line and a Ravens running back room that's injured once again. And I just think Cleveland at home is going to be able to beat the hell out of Baltimore, a Baltimore team that's already beaten up. I only have to lay 2.5, so a field goal wins enough. Now, am I afraid of Deshaun is screwing this up? I absolutely am. But that defense thus far has been the best defense in the NFL by far. Now, part of that is who they've played. I get it. You play an injured Joe Burrow. You play Ryan Tannehill. You play, oh gosh, what's the other Cleveland game? Oh, the Steelers and Kenny Pickett. I understand you're not playing great offenses, but Baltimore right now, their offense is a work in progress. Again, I'm laying less than a field goal, and especially with the fact that Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Lindenbaum are either going to miss the game or not be 100%, I like Cleveland minus the 2.5. All right, next.
All right, we got Kansas City minus 9.5 at the Jets.
Okay, so the Chiefs are not great at covering big numbers. In the last 6 times they've been favored by a touchdown or more, they're 1-5 against the spread, and I'm pretty sure the one was last week against Chicago. This is a different type of situation, though, because the Jets are not going to be able to score more than 10 points. They're just not. So are the Chiefs going to be able to score 20 plus? Obviously. Has the Jets defense up to this point been overrated? Yes, it has. It is a league average defense or slightly below, right around league average or worse across the board. Rush defense, pass defense, total defense, points, all of it. You have a little strife within the team. You have the fact that Kansas City, I think right now, what you're going to see is a great defense really putting the Jets in negative field position and in very difficult spots throughout the football game, and the Chiefs being dominating time of possession, having the ball in Jets territory all night. And even if they don't have a dynamic offensive performance, 24 points will be more than enough. More than enough to cover this spread. And they scored 34 points in the first half last week. So I tend not to include the Chiefs in Nick's picks, and there has not been many times ever that I have included them as big favorites, because I know they tend not to cover big lines. They play down to the level of their competition somewhat. This is not one of those spots. It's national television. It's Sunday Night Football, and it's against an opponent that I think is ready to fall apart. So I like the Chiefs laying the 9.5.
You are discussing this so like black and white. Like this is happening. This is happening. This is like a yes/no thing.
Yeah.
This is like a fact, not an opinion. I love it. You got a lot riding on this game.
Listen, the Jets have the worst quarterback in the league. They have the worst quarterback in the league, and their backup is the worst quarterback to ever make the NFL. So, I mean, until Trevor Siemian gets activated, they're not going to have a pulse at quarterback. The Chiefs can cover 9.5 I honestly think the Jets will not score more. The absolute maximum is 13. I think the likely outcome is 10, and I think there's a chance they don't crack 7. So that covering the Chiefs, there is a possibility that the Chiefs score 17 points and cover this spread. All right, next.
All right, you got Seattle plus 1.5 at the Giants.
Okay, so Daniel Jones obviously is a historically bad primetime quarterback. In night games, he's 5-8 against the spread, 1-12 straight up, 0-5 straight up in home night games. Now, I do actually think Daniel Jones is going to be able to move the ball. Seattle's defense has not been good. Now, they've been banged up. They should be getting healthier. I don't think he's going to be able to move the ball. But the problem is that Giants defense is not going to be able to slow down what I think is a potent Seattle offense that people just still refuse to believe in because they don't want to believe in Geno. So I'm getting what I believe to be the better team, the far better quarterback, and I'm getting 1.5 points. So, 21-20 Giants, somehow I win. I win with getting this 1.5 points, but I think Seattle wins outright. I understand that this is probably more of a square bet. I think a lot of the sharper money's on the Giants, but I do not think the Giants' defense can stop Seattle. I've been very unimpressed with the Giants' defense all year. First game against the Cowboys, second game against the Cardinals in the first half, they let Josh Dobbs roll all over them. And obviously the Niners did whatever they wanted, even though Purdy was wildly inaccurate in the first half of that game. So I like Seattle a lot here. Seattle plus 1.5.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.